Hello again, everybody. We're going to talk a little bit about pool today. For this first video, we're going to go over the basic games of pool, some of the basic terminology and the basics, and then we'll do another video showing how to hold a cue, different ways of shooting and stuff like that. So as far as games go, the primary game that most people are familiar with is what's known as 8-ball. You use all 15 balls in a rack with the 8-ball in the center, and then you alternate going solid stripe, solid, and then you do 2 stripes so that as you go back around, you got a corner of each, and then everything else in the middle. And so when you rack it, you're going to put it in there, you're going to push it forward, and you're just going to verify that none of the balls move as you pull the rack off. And that's what a proper rack is going to look like. You rack it basically the same way for the game called Cutthroat, which is a game for 3 players. If you have an odd number of players, rather than taking turns, you can play what's called Cutthroat. Use the same basic rack, but the game there, instead of going for solids or stripes, followed by the 8-ball, you play, one person will get the 1 through 5 balls, one person will get 6 through 10, the other person will get 11 through 15. And the goal of that game is to have all your balls left on the table, or at least get rid of everyone else's balls before yours are gone. The other game that is pretty common in America is a game called 9-ball. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull off all the balls above 9. So you have 1 through 9 on the table, and you're going to use a diamond rack, which you see here. You can do this with a triangle rack, but it's a lot easier if you have the actual diamond. And so the way you're going to rack this, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the 9 in the center, just like you have the 8-ball in the center as well. Because if you drop the 8-ball and 8-ball on the break, or the 9-ball and 9-ball on the break, you automatically win because it's in the most difficult spot to hit. But you want the balls in the 9-ball to be spread out back and forth so that all the balls in a row aren't together, because that is the goal of 9-ball. The goal of 9-ball is to hit the 1 ball first, then the 2, then the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. You can't hit any other balls if a ball lower than it is on the table. However, you can, if you say hit the 1 ball and that knocks a different ball in, that's fine as long as you're hitting the correct ball first. Otherwise, that's a foul. So with 9-ball, this is what you're looking at. Like I showed you the 8-ball and Cutthroat stance, and this is the basics for your 3 common games in America. All right, so now we're going to talk about breaking and a stance and just general shooting stuff as well. First thing you're going to do, you want to make sure that your cue is chalked properly. There should be chalk at wherever table you're at, but give it a nice little coat. Just make sure it's kind of evenly distributed, and then you can leave the chalk on the table or on a side table. Then what you're going to do, you're going to set up the cue wherever you'd like. When you're breaking, you can break from anywhere in the kitchen, is what it's called, between on the far end of the table from the rack before the second set of markers. They're usually diamonds, but you get different markers on different ones. So anywhere in this area you can break from. I usually like to break from the right side, but different people break from different places. So when your stance, you want to have, I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see, you want to have a firm, balanced stance. You don't want your feet too close together where you're not stable. You want to be stable, balanced, and then you're going to get down, and you want to be able to sight straight down the cue as you're stroking it forward. So you don't want it to be going sideways or like at an angle from your eyes. So you want to be able to see exactly where you're stroking. With your grip, you want it to be fairly loose. You don't want it to be too tight, because that'll let you pivot it slowly so it's moving straight forward and back like a piston motion, rather than curving up and down with your arm. And then on the front, the bridge you set up, it'll vary from person to person. Find some people will do a grip like this. Some people will go straight down along their fingers. I like to do sort of a modified, like a snooker grip, where you use just the tip of your thumb and then a little bit of your finger. So there's less contact, there's less rub on your fingers, so you don't lose as much momentum, and there's less chance of it catching on anything. But again, you want to go straight forward and back. Your elbow should be stable at all times, so that the only thing moving is below the elbow. And so what you're going to do when you go set up for a break, you're going to do the same thing. You don't want to, you're not going to be leaning forward or leaning back. You want to stay stable as you go and then just push straight through the ball. And you get a decent break. So this was a 9-ball break, so I'm on the 1 ball. That's the important thing. If something goes down, great. If it doesn't, you want to be on the 1 ball to try to get the next ball. So that's your basic stance, that's your basic setup and how to break, and we'll move on to the next video. All right, everybody, now we're going to talk about some more specific kinds of shots. So the first one I've set up here is what's traditionally called a combo shot, or a plant in British terminology, where you hit 1 ball into another ball with the object of the second ball being the one to fall. So this one, I'm going to hit the 4 into the 7 into the pocket. That's your basic combo. So this next shot is what's traditionally called a bank shot. As you can see, the 9 ball is in the way, so I can't put the 4 ball onto that side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it off of this rail on the far side and back in this pocket near me. So I'm going to line up, sight, get my angles, like that. So another shot is what's called a carom, and what I'm going to do here is, instead of like a combo where I'm hitting 1 ball into another ball, I'm going to use a ball to deflect the cue ball where I want it to go. So the 2 is in between the 9 and my cue ball, and I'm trying to hit the 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the 4, and it's going to deflect off at an angle to drop the 9 in. So. So the next shot is what's called a kick shot. In this one, as opposed to a bank where you hit a ball into the rail, on a kick shot you hit the cue ball into the rail to get it to the ball you want to hit. So in this case, the 7 is in my way to get to the 2, so I'm going to go off the far rail and let it come back to hit the 2. Like so. So next we're going to do what's called a draw shot and what's called a follow shot. This is using what's known as English, which is spin on the cue ball to affect what happens to it after it hits the ball. When it runs into a ball, it's going to lose all its momentum. If it's rolling forward, if it has top spin on it, after it loses that momentum, it'll continue forward. If it's spinning backwards, then after it loses its momentum, that backward spin will catch on the felt and pull it backwards. And so this is used primarily for positioning for another shot after making 1 shot. So first I'm going to show you a draw, which is when you shoot towards the bottom of the ball, slightly below center, so it imparts backspin and pulls the ball back. All right, and then this is what's called a follow shot, where I'm going to hit above the center of the cue ball, which will make it roll forward faster after it hits the ball. Like so. And then you can also do left or right hand English, which doesn't affect a shot per se, but it affects what will happen when it hits a rail. If it's spinning towards the left, then it'll cut to the left instead of straight, and opposite on the right. It won't affect the path of a ball across the table, but if it hits a rail, it'll drastically alter what happens. So you can see first I'm going to hit it with left spin, I'm going to grab it and I'll hit it with right spin. You can see, even though I'm shooting straight into the rail, it'll go in random different directions from the rail. So you can see you can affect the trajectory of a kick by spinning a ball left or right. So just for a visual to show you, this is dead center on the ball. So if I want to shoot the ball without any English or with minimal English, I shoot here. If I want to draw, I'll go down here and follow through so that I'm putting a lot of backspin on the ball. If I want to do top spin, I go up here. And so it's going to roll forward more, and then left or right. The key thing when you're trying to impart any sort of English, though, is that you follow through the ball heavily. You don't want to jerk it back. You want to follow through so it continues to contact it and spin it as much as possible. All right, so to finish this video, we're going to have a little fun. I'm going to do a 9-ball break, and I'm going to see how far I can run it before I miss, and we'll see how it goes. So I got a nice line on the 1, 2 should be easy to follow. Everything is pretty well spread out. The only ball that could be a problem right off first sight would be the 4 because the 8's in the way over there. But hopefully I can open that up with one of these shots. Like so. Not a perfect line on the 3, but I can probably put that aside there. Now try to take the 4 all the way down. And there's the miss. Unfortunately, I left an easy shot for my opponent. Well, hopefully these videos taught you a little something and sparked an interest in you. I love pool. I play at least once a week, often more. And hopefully some of you are interested to learn a little more too. If so, we might make some more videos, try to make it more, go into more detailed pool strategy and so forth. So let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time.